So as I'm spending time, developing this motive, you probably wonder, why am I spending all this time on just this boring snare part? So I'm just gonna start by making some variations of this motive that I created and making this more of a groove. And I'm gonna go back to my drum map. You'll see that I have this interesting part, which is, by the way, a 5-bar part. Kind of interesting. So let's start with this on the snare like it is right now. So I still have my click on, and it's still not that interesting, but I'm going to start by making some sort of a groove with this. So let's start by even having this on the snare, but around that, create some other notes. So I'm going to create a bass drum that's going to play every beat, but I'm going to click snap here, so it's snapped to the grid, and every beat to give it a groove. Let's listen to this. Right. So there's some groove to it. Maybe not the most interesting drum part yet, but it's pretty interesting. Now I can make this a halftime fill by just erasing every second bass drum from what I did. Now let's listen. That's pretty cool. I didn't really like that a lot of these bass drums fall right on the snares. Not very interesting. So I'm just going to move them around. Maybe move them over here. Maybe move this over here. And maybe get rid of this completely. So as you can see visually, even this one too, you'll see visually the bass drums, maybe except for this one, which I'll move to, now they fall in different places in those snares. So they're going to create a more interesting rhythmic kind of collaboration with those. Let's hear it. You can kind of hear the polyphony of those two voices. If I'm going to go even faster and go to a tempo of 180 instead of 160, for this, I can do something like add a hi-hat. So let's start by just adding a closed hi-hat in this row, and I'm going to pick just quarter notes. Click this little star for global quantize, and just have quarter notes down on the hi-hat. I'm going to draw them all the way up to here. But it's still not as cool because it's still kind of the same grid as all these other drums. So why don't I make this faster? Let's make this, instead of having those boring, quarter notes, let's make this 8 notes. Make them faster feel. So I'm going to draw these 8 notes. Let's hear it. Oh, that's groovier. However, still a little bit dry to me. So we can also add not just closed hi-hats, but open hi-hats. So maybe let's add an open hi-hat right here. I'm going to take this, press Command, and drag this down to the open hi-hat panel. Maybe make this a bit louder, like this. One thing that's very cool to do with the drum set is to have that open hi-hat right when there's a bass drum. So, for example, I have this nice little bass drum here. I'll pull this to an open hi-hat, make this pretty loud, and you'll see how this one stands out. Ah, grooving. Let's add a few more of those. Let's maybe add this one here. Make this higher. Take this one here. Make this one louder too. Check this out. one of the things that are cool to do is, again, mess with the dynamics of them. So I can go and maybe take some of them down like this. Maybe stick some of them way back up like this. A bit mechanical. But what I can do, which is more closer to the way a drummer plays, is to get every first one of a sequence stronger than the second one, because a regular drummer might use both of his hands to play it. So I can do something like this. You see, every second one is going to be softer than the first one. Let's listen to this. That's interesting. Maybe less of a contrast, like this. Ah, you see, that's already grooving. We got something going here. Let's keep implementing this over this next section. I'm just doing this a very mechanical kind of a way. There you go. So let's move this first hi-hat and maybe add a crash at the beginning of every loop. So I'm going to draw this and get a nice crash sound. Now, you'll see when the repeat is going to come back. It's the end of the bar. And all right.